Today's meditation class will be on the Tao of Jeet Kune by Bruce Lee. I'm going to go to page number 9. Art of the Soul. I'm going to read a part, and if anybody has any reflection, please give your reflection. If not, then just be silent. The aim of art is to project an inner vision into the world, to state in aesthetic creation the deepest psychic and personal experiences of a human being. It is to enable those experiences to be intelligible and generally recognized within the total framework of an ideal world. Any reflection?
What comes up for me is that I think about this a lot with kids. This idea that they have this indoctrination in their head that there's right and wrong when it comes to self-expression. What I take from that, and what I believe that there is no right and wrong. It comes from the inside out.
I have a reflection. I think as it relates to martial arts, for me, anger is probably one of my best teachers. And whenever I become angry, first I'll look into that anger, and no matter what it is, if I'm angry, there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with my self-control, and there's something wrong with my projection of the world. And it's both through my paint, so both through painting and martial arts. I think that will lead me down a path of more peace, more focus. And I look forward to my experiences here.
Aim of art is to project an inner vision into the world. To me, that's like finding about yourself, your inner heart, your inner being. Putting that expression into a form of art. It could be the martial art, it could be painting, it could be dancing. But it turns into art, it could be music. And through your art, through the expression of your truth from within, it comes out through art, and then it can get other people who observe that art a closeness with truth, because the truth is within us, and the art brings it out of us. It's like our way of expressing that art, to have it come out in some type of physical form. Next one. Art reveals itself in psychic understanding of the inner essence of things and gives form to the relation of man and with nothing, with the nature of the absolute. Reflection?
I have a reflection. When it talks about nature, absolute, like man's connection with nothing, especially with art. Like art can begin as like, I guess, as an idea, or it starts as nothing, just a feeling, or it comes from a place of non-existence. But through art, it manifests itself. Whether like with painting, you can have a vision of something that is nowhere around. You can be dead of winter, but you can draw the sun, and the trees and all of this stuff, which in a way could have came just from nowhere, but it manifested itself in the painting.
My reflection. For me, relationship with everything within us, whether it be through art or any type of thought, and I'm referring to the first step in the Eightfold Path, which is right insight, which leads us to right thought. And that right insight is probably the most, for me, is the one part of the Eightfold Path that is not controlled. And it has to be felt and it has to be nurtured. But it's something you have to just innately trust before you move to the right thought.
You know, I think about this idea of art, artistic expression. All these anthropologists and geologists and people finding out stuff about past civilizations. Other than bones, they're finding art. Cups, buildings, anything that had to do with how people express themselves through art and creation. And I think we just underestimate that inner expression because it's a big part. We're denying ourselves who we are when we don't allow ourselves to express what's inside of us in some form of art. It could be spoken word, it could be building, right? Anything. But that's how we're determined, historically, is through our works of art. When the civilization is long and gone, and when they finding shit, it's going to be the things that were created.
Next, art is an expression of life and transcends both time and space. We must employ our own souls through art to give a new form and a new meaning to the nature or the world. Reflection.
Reflection. From that reading, the first part where it transcends time especially, that's through our, again, back to insight and thought, we're able to conceive any type of reality. And through the expression, both physical martial arts and media arts and dance, I think those expressions can be realized and lead to further insight and further thought.
Art is the expression of life and transcends both time and space. We must employ our own souls through art to give a new form and a new meaning to nature or the world. We all are unique. We're not born with a name, but a name is usually given to us. But when you're born, we have something unique, like our fingerprints are all different. Our voices are different. We look different. We think different. We are different. We're all different. So art is a way to connect with that uniqueness within yourself, and then you bring it out through art. And when you bring it out through art, you give a new form, a new meaning to nature or the world. That gets me to think about creators. Being a creator, not just being an imitator, but being a creator and expressing yourself for who you are. If you express yourself for who you are, then you're going to contribute something unique and different to this world. But if you just imitate, you just become a carbon copy, then you're not contributing your own inner essence. And art is supposed to, real art is supposed to be connecting you to yourself and expressing that for what it is. And essentially that's what Bruce Lee had done with the Jeet Kune. That's why he created that label Jeet Kune. That was his. Now, when people say I want to practice Jeet Kune, you're supposed to connect with your own inner truth and express it, and then it becomes something. It's your own expression of the martial art. So in a way, Bruce Lee's trying to encourage us to have the courage to express our own way. It's easier to follow somebody else and copy somebody else, but to know yourself and express yourself, that's the difficult thing. And that's what he's trying to motivate practitioners of the martial arts to do, is to connect to their inner self and express that through art. That's true art. But if you don't connect with your inner self and you just imitate, then it's no longer true art. Next, an artist's expression is his soul made apparent. His schooling as well as his cool being exhibited. Behind every motion, the music of his soul is made visible. Otherwise, his motion is empty, and empty motion is like an empty word. No meaning. Reflection.
I know it says like music from your soul, of your soul, and it's hard for me to put in words, but I understand like just making it like towards music or art from music. You know, there's two things that you can't deny with music. It's, does it sound good or does it sound bad to you? You know what sounds good to you, and how does it make you feel when you hear it? But for the person making the music, it also is them as well. How does it make them feel as they're creating it? So, I can see the connection from the person listening to it and also the person expressing it. It definitely is something with the soul. It's not something more or less mechanical or like a cake or something physical, like, oh, we can look at it. It's like, no, it's something you feel. Which, when you talk about feelings, you're talking about the soul, at least from how I feel. Not sixth sense feelings, I'm saying how you feel from the heart.
Would you mind reading that again?
An artist's expression is his soul made apparent, his schooling as well as his cool being exhibited. Behind every motion, the music of his soul is made visible. Otherwise, his motion is empty, and empty motion is like an empty word, no meaning.
Reflection. Especially when I think of any type of dance and martial arts, it's really allowing yourself to have the courage to exhibit your style and form, and also I think also to kind of reach down and push yourself. I'm thinking when I was younger, much younger, and would go out to a club or something and dance and have the courage to dance, even though I probably look like an idiot, but I'm at least expressing myself and really committing to it and having the courage to do that.
I think at least what comes up for me, what Bruce Lee is saying is don't be afraid to take off the mask. Show yourself. I almost take it as like, it's not just an option, it's an obligation, like to the world. Show yourself. Get so caught up in ego and fear, worried about being judged, or it's kind of like what you're saying, not wanting to dance because you feel like you can't dance. That's all mind stuff. That's not
So martial art to me is like a physical movement. It's almost similar to dance, but it's like a combative dancing. And my objective here is to kind of get you physically fit, because you can't really dance to your potential if you're not physically fit. And then two, show you a variety of different combative techniques, so you have a framework of what to build off of. And then eventually, when you put it together, the physical fitness with the combative techniques, then you could kind of have your own expression of your way of dancing, you know, according to you. And like for me, I want to learn how to play the drums. I watch Jazé play, I watch other people play, and then you have to try to get a foundation before you could express yourself to your potential. Children, before they even go to school, they have a natural ability to just be expressive and creative. But without the schooling, it's not fine-tuned in where they could create great arts like Beethoven and Mozart, whatnot. You got to go through the schooling to get the technical aspects, so you have a framework of what to build off of. So say I said, okay, paint something, and then I just give you one color. You only got one color to work with, but then say I say paint something and I give you 10,000 colors, then now you got variety, different things that you could do. So same thing with music. You just play, piano has all these different notes. It gives you all these different options. You can make all these different combinations to create beautiful music. So in the martial arts, I'm giving you different techniques, have a framework to build off of, so then you can tap into your creativity. But the schooling, I see, is a part of our development as artists. Like learning the technical aspects, so then eventually that technicality becomes natural and inbuilt in you, so you don't have to think anymore. And then the mind's not in it. Like your mind doesn't have to think about the techniques. Your mind doesn't have to think about what other people think about you, because even when you get to a certain level of expression, there's nothing for people to really look down on you about, because you are at such a high level of what you do that it just becomes silent. So say like some in the gymnastics, in Olympics, when these gymnasts are doing their routines, usually it's just silent in there. The people are just caught up in the moment, and they're just in awe of what these people can do with their bodies. And when you get to a certain level of mastery of what you do, there's no concern of what other people think, because you are already at such a high level of what you do. But even if you're not at a high level, like children, they just express themselves freely. They don't care what other people think, because they don't have that mind in the way. But the problem is when you're not a master and you're not a child, you're in the middle, then you're concerned, what are people going to think about me, and do I look like a fool? Do I even know what I'm doing? Then you're not in meditation, and then it takes away from the art. Then it's no longer a true expression of your soul. It becomes manipulated by the mind to become something that's not you, because the mind is changing your expression, and then it's no longer authentic to you anymore. Authenticity comes from within, with no mind, and it's just your fingerprint that's unique to you, and there's beauty in that, because it's so rare, because most people are just practicing routines opposed to expressing themselves truthfully from within.
I can apply that to training here with you. Even yesterday, man, that was when you asked or had me to come up with some drills, and I noticed. It's interesting. I'm kind of reflecting on what I was going through yesterday when you had me to do that in the work that I was doing, and like my initial kind of, whoa, am I going to do it right? It was like that thing. It was like right or wrong. Right? Is it going to be how you would do it? And then I saw myself kind of like in the moment, kind of like having that come in and let it go. To actually take it on, it was really good. I mean, it was it was great. You know, it kind of stretched me and pushed me to a space, and then to be teaching it to Oliverio, for a second I was like, okay, well, tell Oliverio that it's okay that I do this. But then I was like, no, let me just do it, see how it goes, and it was great. You know, it was just being able to express the martial arts that you've given me a foundation for in my own way. That was a good experience.
Yeah, I thought that was a new idea that I came up with that I want to start implementing more. I think you guys are at that level. Not that I think, I know you guys are at that level. You guys have all been here for over 2 years, and you guys definitely have a good foundation to work off of. And I want to work on more things where we tap into more of your creativity, to figure out, you know, it's like kind of, you know, throwing a jigsaw puzzle at you rather than doing it for you. All right, guys, see if you could do this one. This is a simple one. See if you guys could do it. The martial art, there is a science, so that in certain aspects of the martial art, like drills and sparring, there's a science behind it. So you gotta really understand the science in order to create the proper drills that'll be effective and practical for whatever situation that you're envisioning in your mind. And then there's other aspects where it could be like a free flow, you know, like creativity in the wooden dummy, just go at it, let me see what you could do. Or like the punching bag, freestyle. And then the kung fu dance, like freestyle. So the freestyle, you know, it's not, you know, you could just kind of be self-expressive, but then when you have to do things when it comes to sparring and drills, now you got to integrate science with creativity, and then sometimes that's a challenge for some people. And then we're going to try to work with all those different aspects. I want you guys to get comfortable with creating, and then also having confidence in your own creations that this is something that is going to be practical and useful. And when you create your own, then you really do understand it because you created it. So for example, like the wooden dummy, the tiger form, I created it. I know exactly what every single part is for, what its use is, and its function. But if I was just showing you guys a form that was created like 400 years ago by somebody that I never even met, and it's just passed on through time, it's impossible for me to understand the full creation because I didn't create it. But when you guys create it yourself, you'll know what it's for, you know. So say you got a journal and you got, every day you write something 100 days, and then I pick up the journal, I read day 78, like, man, what's wrong with you here, man? And then you're like, oh, that day I was feeling angry, so that's why I wrote that, you know. Like, you know about each creation. So any artist that makes music, they'll know, like, during this time in my life, I was feeling down, so I created this song. This song, I was feeling happier, so I created that song. Like, they have their reasons behind all the creations because they created it. Opposed to just lip singing somebody else's creation, it's not connecting to you. And you might be great at lip singing it, you might be great at imitating it, but it's still not you. And that's still not art, like real art, you know. So next part, eliminate not clear thinking and function from your root. Reflection.
Reflection, it sounds like, in short, you know, kind of trust your gut, but I'm pretty sure he meant more than just trust your gut. Function from your root. The way I'm hearing it could just be more so live your truth, like, you know, don't let other people talk you into doing something when you know, clearly you can see what the truth is and operate that way, rather than coming in with a clouded judgment of something somebody else told you and thinking a certain way about something when it has nothing to do with the now.
There's a lot there. Insight. To have proper insight, you have to get rid of all the self-ego and baggage to move ahead as your real self. That's deep.
reflection. I think about is it's like clearing your mind of negative thought, especially if you want to keep it related to martial art. Like if you come here, you have personal issues, problem with the wife, job, whatever, and you try to spar or trying to learn some wisdom from the teacher, in this case, Sifu. It's not going to work. It's like mixing water and oil. You have to clear your mind, you have a clear understanding when you want to teach in order for you to learn. You can't come with your clouded mind here trying to learn something new that you never seen before when you're already corrupted with something that you think it was the truth. So you have to clear your mind, even though whatever you know or used to know may be the right path at that time. Once you're here, you got to be able to open up to learn, listen to something new. Just like a bird, if a bird stays locked up in a cage all the time, when she gets loose, sometimes she's confused and doesn't know what to do. Because she's so used to being locked up in a cage. But you have to, when you're getting with that, you have to clear your mind so you can understand what you're trying to teach. Basically, I want to keep it to Bruce Lee saying, you know, empty up your cup, teacup. How to get more tea filled in the cup. You can't have the cup already filled with knowledge from somebody else and try to learn from here. You got to totally leave what you think you knew outside, clear your mind. If you want to put it to the side, when you leave here and use what is good or discard what is not good, that's fine. But you have to have a clear mind. That's why I feel the meditation is important, especially for newcomers, new students, or even people who have been practicing martial art for a while. You see, you got to be careful because you don't know what they've been practicing. You don't know if they've been in the cage. You don't know if they've been in the military. You don't know if they have prior incidents or trial and tribulation they've been dealing with. Kind of affected their mind. So I figure meditation is number one step that you have to understand, be willing to learn, and grasp what the Sifu is trying to say, because if you come here searching knowledge from other school, like I said, military, you might have a flashback. You think you're in the military, you think you're in war, Vietnam, or whatever, and then you accidentally could hurt your partner. So meditation is very important, more than anything, to be able to clear your mind and relax like we're doing now, and relax your body, your mind, and soul for 30 minutes. Calm down. Or sometimes be here with, like me, for example, suffering with pain right now. But I can't let it crowd in my judgment. I can't let it crowd in my mind. So I'm just able to adapt to the pain and deal with it and relax through meditation. Because if I let it affect me, then I'm not going to be thinking correct. I'm going to make a mistake and I might hurt somebody. Sometimes you could be out of control because your mind is not clear. And that's what I got out of that.
Next. Art is never decoration, embellishment. Instead, it is work of enlightenment. Art, in other words, is a technique for acquiring liberty. I really like that short statement. You know, that sums up what my work is over here. So art is never decoration, embellishment. Just think about, like, a lot of people, I want to buy this, I want to buy that, and let's post this up. That's art. And like when it comes to the martial art, oh, let me practice this so I could look cool. Let me wear these belts. Let me show off. Let me show off to people. Like, that's not art. Art is supposed to be a way towards, like, as he's saying, towards your enlightenment, towards your liberation, finding out about your true inner self and expressing that. That's what true art is. You know, and when I train with you guys here, we got the physical training, which is for your health, and then it's a part of the martial arts because you can't express martial art techniques without your physical. And then the combative techniques, it's a science. Like there's a science between surviving a certain situation, you know. So I'm trying to teach you that science with these techniques. And then the meditation is supposed to bring it together to turn it into an art. So then you start to realize that, hey, you know, there's all these guns out there, there's all these violent people out there, there's all these crazy people out there that are willing to just kill you, just to kill you. And it doesn't matter how many martial art techniques you know, like your life, you could die at any moment, you know, at any time. And when you practice these techniques, then you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with these techniques? Then you can transform the practice into a way of peace. Like, you know, rather than when you're angry, like you're talking about, like rather than hitting somebody, okay, now you can hit a punching bag, you can work with a wooden dummy, you can do some exercises, you can just get that energy out. So in a lot of the Chinese martial arts has transformed the combative into more of a spiritual practice. That's why you see a lot of, that's why the Shaolin Kung Fu is known for the Shaolin monks, Shaolin temple, because it's turned into a spiritual practice. The martial art is turned into a spiritual practice because they see the irrelevancy of the martial arts combative techniques for this modern society. With all these guns and all this technology and these nuclear weapons, what do these hand-to-hand combat techniques, what do these have to do with modern warfare? Well, they transform these techniques to become part of your path towards spiritual enlightenment. So ideally, Jeet Kune is the way of the intercepting fist. So the way Lao Tzu, Tao De Ching, the Tao of Jeet Kune, Tao De Ching, the way of life. So the martial arts is supposed to teach you the way of life. Like the way towards truth, the way towards enlightenment, the way towards liberty and freedom. And getting this ego out of it and being in meditation, being in an awareness. And that's rare. It's rare to really find people that are really teaching the martial arts as a way towards truth and enlightenment. And he sums it up right here. Art is never decoration, embellishment. Instead, it is a work of enlightenment. Art, in other words, is a technique for acquiring liberty. Sums it up right there. In one sentence, clear cut. And that's what I want to represent in my art. You know, and I hope that as you guys practice, you always remember what the martial arts is supposed to be for. This will be the last one for today. Art calls for complete mastery of techniques developed by reflection within the soul. Reflection.
It's from the inside out. It starts from the soul and it's reflected out with the techniques and the expression.
So you guys have been here, each of you, for about 2 years, over 2 years. We're at the point where I've gotten close to you guys enough to realize, to see that you guys are ready for this type of teaching. Now most people come in here, I want to lose weight, I want to get strong, I want to get more flexible, I want to learn how to fight. They cannot sit down here for 30 minutes to reflect within themselves. If you cannot reflect within yourself to find out more about you, there's no way you're going to master any of this stuff. So remember to take the time to reflect, to meditate, and then that's how you're going to perfect the techniques. Alright, that's it for today. We ended at page 10 on that sentence.